Hey everyone, today we're going to be using one of my favorite cooking items, my Lodge cast iron pan. You know, like a lot of people, I probably wasn't totally convinced on these when I first used one. I didn't really understand how it was non-stick. You know, I'm so used to using non-stick. But after years of having this, I love cast iron. And I use it almost every day now. And let's make some eggs and I'll show you how I do it. I got it on about a 3 out of 7 right now. For whatever reason, mine just goes 1 to 6 and then high, so I'm going to go 3 out of 7. All right, wait for it to heat up, and then we'll start cooking. All right, to see if it's hot enough, I'm going to throw a little bit of water in the pan and see if it sizzles. All right, we're sizzling, so I'm going to add some oil. Put it around the pan a bit. And I'm making 3 eggs, so I'm going to get 3 eggs. So ideally you want it to sizzle as soon as you go in, which means I may have done this a little prematurely. Eggs are in the pan. I also got some toast going. I'm just gonna wait for these to cook for a bit. All right, so we're moving at a good temperature here. Not too hot, not too cold, nice and smooth. I'm gonna rotate the pan a bit just for even heat. Okay, now we're gonna flip them a bit. Normally I do use a mix of utensils, either wood or plastic or metal. Some people say don't use metal, but I've never really had an issue. Today I'm using plastic, just because it's a little easier to flip eggs. Okay, so I've had this pan for a long while, so it's pretty non-stick because I've treated it pretty well, and I'm going to show you after how you do that. Normally, when you get one of these, you got to, I would just look online, look how to season a new cast iron pan. Usually involves oiling it a couple times and then throwing it in the oven. It seems absurd if you've never done it before, but I highly recommend it, just because it might ruin your pan otherwise. All right, the eggs are pretty much done and they're coming off. So yeah, you can see that was all pretty non-stick. The more you use it, and kind of the fattier things you're using it, like cooking with butter, cooking bacon, cooking steak, chicken, you know, etc., it's gonna help season it even more. I think it's just something to do with the carbonization of the heat over time. Creates a nice non-stick finish. And I'll show you how to clean it in a second. All right, so the food's all done. I just finished cooking. I did the eggs, I did some potatoes and peppers, which is why there's some potato coated on the side here. Well, this is gonna be a good example. So there's going to be a multi-step process here to clean this pan and make sure you don't ruin the finish and make sure it stays non-stick for years. So water on. Water's going to get super hot. I'm going to turn the pan off to super hot as well, though it's been going for a bit, so it's already pretty hot. Next, salt. Not too much, just enough to coat the pan to get all the extra bits off. Paper towel. Scrub around. See, all this stuff is coming off. At this point, the pan's starting to smoke a bit just because it's been on the heat for a bit, and that's just the residual oil and other stuff burning off. If it is smoking too much, just turn it down for the time being. I'm going to finish it over here just because it's getting a little hot. And now the water is super hot. And that's perfect because you never want to put cold water in this pan. See, all the stuck on stuff is off. Now I'm going to deglaze it with that hot water. So now we're back on the heat. That water's going to evaporate. I'm going to put this up pretty high, almost to the full blast. And I'm gonna use a rag, or you can just let it kind of evaporate, but for the sake of time I'm gonna use a rag. So it gets all the excess water out of there. From there I'm getting some sunflower oil. Just putting like a quarter-sized amount, or a euro for those in Europe. And obviously it spreads out. But to spread it out even more, I'm gonna get a little piece of rag that I use only for doing this, only for re-seasoning the pan or re-oiling the pan, and I'm gonna move this oil around so it covers the whole pan. It's gonna be hot, so just prepare yourself for that. And you want to oil the whole pan. You don't need a whole lot of oil to do this. Just like I said, just about a quarter size amount. You want to get it in there. I'm gonna flip it over now. You want to do every part of the pan. All right, oiling's done. Back on the heat until it smokes. Now you turn it off and just let it rest until it cools down, obviously. And you're gonna notice I took the handle off. I took the handle off when I'm washing it just because it's a little easier to handle without the rubber handle. I just put a towel around the handle. Obviously, if you lose this as well, you just put a towel around it. Cooks use their apron, but a towel over the shoulder and then in your hand works. All right, you might not be able to see it that well, but the pan is now smoking, and which means it's time to turn the heat off and just let it sit. You do that every time, and you're gonna have a healthy, happy cast iron pan.